1 degrees. Playing some golf tomorrow in the Lansing Promise outing, Rob. Don't know if it's going to be that warm, but if it is, I think I can handle it. I see a projection of 91 degrees. Everyone who complains about the heat should either remember what it was like when they were chipping off their windshield in February, or they should talk to our first guest in studio, Deshaun Tate. He's in Atlanta. 91 is a balmy day. He is our Lansing-bred, Atlanta-based basketball savant. That is Tate's Take Hoops, where basketball lives. Welcome home.
I appreciate it. It's always a good feeling to be home, Jack. It's just one of those things where, like, I tell people, I say this all the time, you could blindfold me, never tell me where we're going. I get off the plane or whatever, and you could just smell, like, it just smells like Michigan.
Really?
Yeah,
What
it's
is
just,
that smell?
I don't know. It's just Michigan. It's not a bad smell. It's just, it has its own. It's like kind of like when you go to New York or you go to this place or that place or whatever. It's like it just has its own. It's home. It smells like home. It's home.
A high degree of olfactory acuity here for Mr. Deshaun.
A lot of
Tate.
industrial work.
Yeah. So you got back late last night?
I did. It was a very smooth ride. Delta takes care of us really good. So
that you're staying in Detroit, right? Or are you staying here?
I'm staying here for a couple of days, and I'm going to visit Pops. Hopefully he doesn't get a hold of this before I go see him, because it's supposed to be a surprise. But I didn't get a chance to put in too much time with him for Father's Day. He's in Detroit, Southfield rather. So I'm put in a little bit of time with him, and maybe he's been talking about this weed whacker that he's been wanting for the longest, but I don't think he's got it yet. So I think we're gonna go shopping. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Good job, son. And you're going to be with me tonight at Moneyball.
Looking forward to it.
The Moneyball Pro-Am basketball event at Holt High.
Yeah.
You've been to Holt in the gym there, right?
I have. It's been quite a little while.
Nice gym.
That's not one of my more frequent places that I've gone to when I stopped through. But listen, real quick. Dez has done such a phenomenal job, obviously, with Moneyball, but just very inspirational. Of definitely a person. I mean, I've been knowing Dez for a really long time. I don't think you know this, Jack, but his brother Ron, me and Ron have been like best friends when we were like 10 years old. We grew up playing the Gus Macker together. I get that's save that for a whole nother story.
Play a little bit.
Don't give him too much credit. I had to take him back to the championship game of the Gus Macker in '94 downtown streets of Lansing. But no, the job that Dez has done and just being a inspirational and motivational piece to this city and just be the businessman that he is, definitely somebody that the youth can look up to.
I couldn't agree more. You talk about the businessman, and everyone knows about Moneyball Sportswear, which has become a national brand.
Yes, it has.
But he does a ton, I mean a ton, for this community, and he doesn't make a penny off of Moneyball. In fact, there were years where he lost money on Moneyball, but no tickets. He's got to pay for cleanup. He's got all that stuff, some facility rental before when he was at Aim High that was getting up there. And, he sells a few shirts. People want to buy it, but why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And, and then the concessions, that's not his. That all goes to the Holt
Facility
Educational Foundation. So he does this because he cares about Lansing.
Yeah, and I think that's special, and I think that's really awesome. And even more so, when you talking about Dez and the Moneyball, it's you see Moneyball, you can't really turn too many corners or go into too many restaurants or places where people aren't wearing Moneyball around here.
Yeah.
Then even more so, just in general in other places. Sometimes I'm in Atlanta and people I'm wearing my Moneyball stuff and they're like, "What do you know about Moneyball?" Or sometimes in places I see other people wearing, I'm like, "What do you know about Moneyball?" You know, and then we kind of get into that whole thing. That's happened quite a few times in Atlanta where someone's like, "Yeah, well, I used to play internationally, and one of my good friends, that's his brand," and so forth, and we get into that whole thing. So I think it's awesome.
We did a little trade here at Spotlight, and we have some sweet Drive with Jack gear.
Oh, I got to give me some swag.
I think that might be in order.
You got some mediums, you got some smalls and some mediums. You might not have none that small.
You can't wear anything that I wear, I'll tell you that. So who are you most anxious to see?
Jackson Kohler.
Okay.
Jackson
He was
Kohler.
a guest on this show yesterday.
Okay.
And
missed it
Rob,
somehow.
how would you describe Jackson Kohler's appearance on the show? It was his third time on the show.
Yeah, lucky number 3, and he's very confident, dare I say. That's for sure. He's waiting to get right into it.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, and he's not scared of anybody or anything
Good.
on the basketball court.
No, he talked about Drew Timme had been kind of an idol. Now he's just another guy on the list.
Good. I hope so, because that game is going to be here before you know it, Jack.
That's right. Oscar Shibway, returning National Player of the Year from Kentucky.
Good.
He talked a lot about working with Zach Randolph and idolizing Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
And that's how he really learned everything. He wrote down these moves, and then he practiced them over and over and over and designed 5 counters for each move. And then he and his dad would critique them. And every time he would score, it was like, yeah, but you could have done this. You should have done this. And I think now you'll see one of the most polished post players. I don't know, Rob. I couldn't remember a guy who scored 44 points in a Moneyball game and didn't have at least 4 threes.
Right. And
I mean, he got his points.
And the first thing he was
harder.
talking about was he could have had more. He was talking about the shots that he missed.
Yeah, missed
and
some shots.
I guess one of the big things, and you can elaborate on this too, Jack, is I guess coming in is his defensive ability on the other side of the court. And he is taking that and just having the chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And so defensively, he's telling everybody, look out, because you're going to be surprised, because he's not taking that lightly at all.
Deshaun, a little bit of wisdom from someone who's a year or two older than you are. The most important thing in the world you can know is what you don't know. And Jackson Kohler knows that he is not athletically gifted, supremely gifted. He knows that he is not a high riser, although he plays above the rim. But that's not his strength. So he has worked and worked. He's worked as many as 5 workouts a day getting ready for the season. So he's lost some of the baby fat he had before. I don't know. I think he looks great, and he's playing very well. Now, again, the disclaimer, we have to preface this, just as we do with Summer League, it is Moneyball.
Yeah, of course.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not the Final Four. This is not the Carrier Classic.
Right. This isn't that. This isn't that.
You're going to like what you see.
I don't expect anything less. I also don't know if I want Jackson Kohler to lose all that baby fat though either. He just kind of one of those players is going to work to his benefit a little bit.
He hasn't lost the weight as much as he's toned up more.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely. Jay Nakins is another one I'm really excited to see. Not just, in Moneyball, but also this year. I know a lot of people are expecting this breakout type of season and year for him, and I think that that's realistic. I think that is spot on. But I'm really excited. We talk about the athleticism and all the. I mean, I think that he can. I think that he can make a little bit better than he's given credit to. I think he's just because he is so good athletically. I think that there are some other areas of his game. Obviously, the shooting needs to come on and things of that nature, but I think that it will. I don't see a broken jump shot. I'm excited to see what he and Kohler will look like together. And then, again, A.J. Hogarth all over again.
Yeah, lost weight too.
Yeah, lost more weight. I mean, and he's another guy who was talking about, I don't want you to lose all of it. He's another one of those guys, kind of built like a Khalid El-Amin.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
He's
No,
not that.
no.
Okay. He's not Deshaun Tate, wiry,
No,
and
you will
could probably
you will
break
say,
out of
"Whoa,
jail,
where's the
squeeze
rest of
between the
them?"
prison
No.
doors. Huh?
Yeah, more like that. More like that than Khalid El-Amin. Looks more like you than him. But I wondered.
That's quite the credit too, by the way, Jack. Just thought I'd let you know that.
One of the things that did help him last year, including when he more than held his own against Jaden Ivey in the win over Purdue, was the fact that he was physical and he was big, and there was a trade-off for that. I mean, there was a little bit of a trade-off in terms of how many minutes he could go or what it is. Now, he's not going to have maybe that same advantage, although he's stronger too. These guys have all gotten stronger and lighter.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Good.
I think. Another guy that you're going to want to watch is Pierre Brooks.
Yeah, I've been hearing.
What did he 46 in a game last week? Now I know. Okay, again, it is Moneyball. I get that, but he is shooting smooth, no hesitancy, just letting it go, and he's another very confident player. No lack of confidence for him.
Good.
He's one of those guys who shoots it and starts running back.
Here's my concern, though, Jack. Is this all tease of? I mean, I
Maybe.
get it. We already talked about his Moneyball, but My concern with somebody like a Pierre Brooks is I don't know how much we're ever going to see him on the floor, not just for this upcoming year. We get it. A lot of times you don't play the freshman and whatever else, what have you. But it became a point in time where I remember thinking, geez, I don't know why Marcus Bingham just won't transfer already. He's just never seeing the floor for whatever. Of course, there was their reasons.
Right. There were health reasons.
And exactly. But I just kind of feel that same way coming on about Brooks. And it could be just me, but I'm just not sure if we'll ever get a chance to see him have a real opportunity of logging the amount of minutes that he could.
Probably not. Probably, Syracuse would be playing 38 minutes a game.
Sure.
40 maybe. But one thing about this that's kind of odd, Deshaun, is the big question I get, the big concern or complaint is, how come Izzo hasn't filled all the rest of these scholarships?
Yeah.
He's got 10 guys.
Why isn't he dipping into the NIL and transfer portal?
Imagine if he had 13. He's trying to balance the egos and the minutes. What do? Just tell 5 guys? You're basically bench players, and you're never going to play unless you're on with Steven at the end of the game.
And meanwhile, there's no drop-off in the strength of scheduling, by the way.
No, this is probably the hardest schedule Izzo's had, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. We could be homers, or we can just be realistic and be positive and pro Michigan State, Tom Izzo, this, that, and the other. But one thing I don't like to do, and this is I feel like in order for you to be a diehard fan of a team, I feel like you have to be optimistic. I mean, you have to be objective and you have to be honest.
Yeah.
I do understand the reservations that people have about Michigan State's lack of success where they feel like Michigan State should have finished in some times. And those are realistic things. And the concerns that people have, they're real about, like, the not dipping into the NIL thing and, Izzo not, with the utilizing the transfers and things of that nature. But he's sticking to his guns. And one thing that we can honestly say,
he's stubborn.
And that's fine. But guess what? But he's found a way to make it work for him every time that we say that.
Yeah.
He's always been like, it's always an Izzo we trust type of thing until you really don't want to trust it anymore. And then he shows you why you're trusting that.
Let me give you an example of the Izzo philosophy at work. Okay. And it drives people crazy sometimes. But, you lose some games early. And then in 2019, they're going up against Duke in Washington, D.C., the overall number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Not just a number 1 seed, the overall number 1 seed. And he's beaten overall number 1s before, as he did in 2009. But they're playing Duke, and they have Williamson, and they have Barrett. They got 3.
Reddish. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3, all top ranked coming out of high school that year. They're the number 1, 2, and 3.
And where did they go in the draft?
They went. Zion went 1. I feel like Barrett went 3.
1, 3, and
then
9.
And Reddish went 10.
10. 1, 3, and 10. Okay, so they had 3 top 10 picks. 3. And Michigan State beats them. I mean, people were stunned. They were expecting this to be another Duke coronation. Didn't happen. Then last year, they're going up against Duke again. Okay, and this is not a championship team for Michigan State.
Sure.
But Duke has 4 first-round guys, right?
Yes, that is correct.
4. Michigan State has Max Christie, pick 35.
Right.
Michigan State has a 5-point lead with less than 2 minutes to go, and much like we saw with Rory McIlroy, he didn't lose the British Open. Cameron Smith won it. And Michigan State did not lose that game to Duke. Duke played the best 2 minutes of basketball I saw from any team last year, played like Duke, and saved Krzyzewski's butt a little longer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, about a week longer or so. About a week.
Yeah. And actually got to the semifinal.
Yeah.
So, but, Michigan State didn't belong on the court with Duke there. If you look at the players they have, if you look at what Vegas was saying, Michigan State nearly did it again.
Yeah. That one lived up to its billing, Jack. Just thinking back at it now, I remember Hogard chasing down, from behind on a block. I mean, they came with it. They came. My whole thing was this. All last year when it came to this Michigan State team, there was just so many instances where they didn't play like Michigan State. Even in their wins, we can go on and on.
Yeah.
But they just didn't play like what we're used to seeing with that toughness, that grit.
They did a lot more than the year before, which was
that is very true. That is very true. That is very true. Yeah. I don't know, but even last year was still pretty bad, just not in comparison to the year before.
Yeah.
But they showed in that game. I'm a win, lose, draw, whatever. The other team could be more superior, more talented on the floor, whatever. But as long as you are, the motto is stand and fight as a Spartan.
Yeah,
and that's what I needed to see them do. That's what they did, and I was okay with the results because in that case, your last game as, Gabe Brown and Bingham, you can walk off the floor and not be hanging your head on that.
And, Deshaun, they would have won that game if Malik Hall hadn't failed to score a basket.
Yeah.
Malik Hall. I mean, he was playing as well as anybody they had for much of the year, and, captain, back this year's captain, key player. He didn't score.
He's a concerning piece for me this year.
Okay. John. All right. Well, you'll see him tonight, too. When you think about what Michigan State did last year, Deshaun, and the thing that made a lot of people wonder if they had underperformed for part of the year or they were just discovering what they could be the way they played at the end of the year and actually even into the Big Ten tournament nearly beat Purdue again, was the first win over Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Purdue, again, you got Jaden Ivey. You got a lot of guys there who thought they were pro players. You had two centers. Poor Julius Marble. I mean, he was just getting hammered. In the middle with Travion Williams and Zach Edey. And Michigan State beat him.
They're going to miss him this year, I think. I think that they're going to miss Marble. I think they're going to miss some of that toughness, some of that grit. Yes, he was undersized. He was always being put. I mean, you think about the Big Ten when it comes to the bigs.
Yeah.
I mean, that conference between Kofi Coburn and Travion and Edey and we could just go on. Trace Jackson. I mean, there's just so many.
Every team.
On every single one.
Dickinson, Hunter Dickinson.
And you don't have the size to be able to match up if you're Michigan State. I mean, Sissoko's not getting much burn. I'm excited to see what that's going to look like this year. But, I felt like there was very few people on this Michigan State roster that brought the grit. If not maybe showing things that shown up on the box score or whatever every night. And that was A.J. Hogard, and that was Julius Marble. Those are the two that I felt the most confident would come with that Spartan product.
The guy I thought could put him over the top, and you got it about every third game, was Tyson Walker.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell Tom Izzo how to coach his team. He always says, don't coach my team. I would have had Tyson Walker shoot the ball 10 times every game. I would tell him, you must shoot the ball 10 times. He's that good a shooter. Mm-hmm. He shot 47.3 from deep.
Sure.
But a lot of times, he didn't shoot it.
People were begging for him to shoot last year. I remember. I mean, people were just.
Meanwhile, Max Christie would shoot 23%.
Yeah. I think there was I feel like that there was another Michigan State player that at one point in time it was just like he can shoot it, but he just never will do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a Chris. At one point in time, I felt like that was a little bit of Drew Knight, so he dribbling the ball out of the air.
Yeah.
And he'd go east and west instead of going towards the basket. Great shooter. We've seen what he was able to do out of Grand Rapids and everything else. But it was like he would just never do it. It's like shoot the doggone thing for once.
Scoring.
Oh, Foster Lawyer. That was another
your
one.
Buddy. Yeah,
my best friend.
Yeah, and
BFF.
I said, Sean's going to kill himself if Davison beats Michigan State in that first game of the tournament. But Lawyer did not have a good game, and Michigan State really put the clamps on him, and the Spartans won. That was the Joey Hauser game.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Hauser had 27 points and couldn't miss.
I want to tell you this, Jack. I was so I said Jack will never let me live this down. If Davidson beats Michigan State and Foster Lawyer goes off, he will never, ever. I'm going to hear it for the rest of eternity.
You would have gotten a call the next morning.
Oh, I'm sure.
From Foster Lawyer.
From Foster Lawyer.
I had his number, and that was all.
You were going to make sure of it.
Oh, yeah. He would have called you. Yes, absolutely.
But you know what the best part about that is?
What?
There's a reason behind why we saw Duke against Michigan State in the second round.
Yeah.
It just my phone didn't ring. My phone didn't ring.
Yeah.
My phone didn't ring. I'm going to remember that part.
One other guy I want you to pay attention to tonight, if you can, is Trey Holloman.
Yes. Okay, I'm looking forward to that too.
He defers sometimes too, but that's not his natural way. I think that when he starts to assert himself the way he did for a state championship team as Mr. Basketball in the state of Minnesota, which has pretty good basketball these days, you're going to like what you see out of him. But he was respectful, I would say, early on. In a game last Tuesday, Rob, you weren't there on Tuesday. You were there on Thursday, right? Okay, Tuesday. He came out, and it's like someone said, Pierre Brooks scored and so-and-so, and he said, oh, yeah, well, watch this. And I don't know how many he had in the first half, but it had to be close to 25. And he was hitting from everywhere, and he wasn't passing the ball. He was just saying, try to stop me, and no one could.
Yeah.
So, and then he's liable to go back to passing the ball all the time, but that's all right. He'll be a backup.
Yeah.
He might be a 10-minute game guy, but Michigan State has guards. So want to talk to you about the Carrier.
Okay. Are we going?
Are you going? I'm going. Are we going?
I don't know. I don't know that I'm
that. Are going.
I don't know that I'm that lucky. I ain't got that kind of coin. But
okay.
But I'm officially on the email list, so there's a start.
Good.
There's a start.
Good. Okay.
But no, either way. Are you going
to come to Champions Classic in Indianapolis?
In Indianapolis. Right now, everything's on the table. The goal is there.
You see Michigan State, Kentucky.
Michigan State, that's this year. Yeah, Michigan State, Kentucky, and Indy.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. I mean, listen,
you didn't go to Summer League.
I didn't go to Summer League. There's so many games. I mean, you pick your game. The schedule is going to be really deep this year. So
Michigan is also playing Kentucky
over in London. Yeah.
So Michigan and Michigan State get a load of the Wildcats and the best rebounder in college basketball. Okay, I want to talk to you briefly about the NBA and player movement right now. What is going to happen to Kyrie Irving?
Yeah. I think you asked me this the other day, and I was like, can I just say I don't care, Jack? Like, is that a real thing? Because I kind of don't, if I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's going. I'm kind of over it,
Yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, is he going to stay? At this point, it kind of reminds me of we were talking about John Collins at one point in time, and then it's starting to really kind of look like, okay, it never happened on draft day, and then it didn't happen. Is it even going to happen? Is the Kevin Durant thing even going to happen? Is the Kyrie thing even going to happen? If I was to say one player or the other, I'd probably say the Lakers is probably the place. But at this point, it's like a video game now. There's just every option is on the table. Like it used to be a point in time where I was like, I can't imagine seeing LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis all on one team. Those things only happen in video games. No, that's happening in real life now these days.
Well, who has the worst situation, gentlemen? The L.A. Lakers right now or the Nets? The worst situation right now?
Who's more desperate to make a trade?
I would imagine all the pressure is on the Lakers. I would imagine it's the Los Angeles.
But what
Lakers.
Are they going to give up?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't got
Westbrook plus what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how much? I don't anticipate that Anthony Davis is even in that conversation. But I'll tell you this much about Brooklyn. We're talking about the Nets. They've never been in situation. They've never had a player of this caliber. Respectfully to the Vince Carters and the Jason Kidd and all.
Well, they have two of them now. They got Kyrie and
Kyrie at the same time.
Yeah.
Like if they end up going from James Harden, Kevin Durant, like three probably best scorers we've ever seen on one team at the same time.
They also have Ben Simmons.
And Ben Simmons, don't forget about that guy. If we end up seeing none of these guys on the floor around this time next year, Ben Simmons probably still on the roster, I'm guessing, but probably still not on the floor. It's crazy. They got to go get something for this guy. You're not just giving him up for a bag of M&Ms.
How shocked would you be on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being catatonic, dumbstruck. 1 being, not surprised. If those guys showed up again at Barclays Center and Ben Simmons played and they won the NBA championship, those three guys.
I'd be shocked myself.
Would you?
I would be shocked.
No, I'll preface it by saying this. Number one, nothing really surprises me anymore these days.
You got a few other guys, right? They got Claxton.
Yeah, Nicholas Claxton, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me that much. Right. Nah, I mean at this rate, nothing can really surprise me too much anymore. You want surprise? Sacramento Kings go win the NBA championship. That's surprise.
Rob would be surprised because for them to win it, that would mean they would have to get past Boston. Which he says that's impossible.
16 years Sacramento Kings, I think, not making it to the playoffs.
Not since the Chris Webber days, right? I mean,
that's right. That's the last time.
16.
The best news of all for the Detroit Pistons, they had the primo spot in the NBA draft. Mm-hmm. It's not the number. It's the team that picks one slot behind Sacramento.
Yep.
Always gets a good player.
They always get a good player. So, that's crazy. Yeah. Everybody, nobody's going to be looking for when next year's lottery rolls around. Nobody's going to be looking for that number one spot. Everybody's going to be looking for where's Sacramento.
Who is more likely to be on a different team at playoff time? Kyrie, KD, or DeAndre Ayton?
Around playoff
the Suns
time?
Matched that gigantic offer from the Pacers, but after the first of the year, indications are that the Suns would certainly look to move.
I don't think it's gonna be Ayton, especially after seeing that they match. Yeah, they want that guy on the team.
Okay.
I would be surprised, probably if it was Kyrie. I just feel like they're so over this crap with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it also wouldn't be too surprising because it's like I still think that they're trying to pull on the heartstrings a little bit. Like they're enjoying the idea of keeping them, but then there's just that reality that sets in at some point. It's like, what are we doing? We can't do this.
Right.
This can't happen.
Someone said, where's Kyrie going to be? I said, who knows? Kyrie doesn't know. But I can tell you where he's not going to be.
Uh-oh.
There's one team he will not be playing for.
Okay.
The Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Because he is not going to obey any ordinances.
Health restrictions.
Mm-hmm. Says, my body is my temple. I'm not going to, it's okay, well.
I respect it.
Yeah, but if you're that team and you're paying to have him and you're paying his salary, all the home games, he can't play.
Unfortunately, he can also afford to make those kinds of decisions as well. So that makes it a little bit different.
He can. Big winner and big loser from the NBA Summer League. Was there one?
Big winner, I think, was.
How about Keegan Murray?
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were talking about team players.
Players.
Yeah,
players or teams.
Keegan Murray was better than I had anticipated. Oh, big loser, I would imagine, is probably Jabari Smith.
Yeah,
would have to be. Scottie Pippen, big winner.
Yeah,
I was feeling really good about Pippen. Kenny Lofton Jr.
Yes, I saw you sing a left-handed.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I'm thinking.
You were in the batter's box.
Did you see me?
Yeah,
where baseball lives now.
It's
I guess.
It's a good thing you're in studio. Kenny Lofton Jr. Yeah, he can play a little bit.
I thought that was a good one as well. There was quite a few players that actually did very. Trendon Watford from LSU did himself very well. In the summer league as well. There's quite a few players, and I'm glad to see that it's working out for a lot of guys. I don't think they did Sharif O'Neal very much justice by putting him on the summer league roster where his dad has a statue outside. I think that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm just the old grumpy guy now in comparison, So I don't know. I don't love that. I didn't love that idea though. Honestly, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But I love what the summer league is becoming now because it's not just a place which think about what the summer league has come from. Now it's the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
people come from all over the world.
All over
to see it.
To see and then there's
but you have to see the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to.
Then at that point they say, okay, we've seen it. We're shutting him down.
Correct.
Don't get tickets for the last.
Week of the. No. But the relationship building out there, the networking, and then of course there's all of the player personnel meetings and all these other things that are going on out there. Then it's Las Vegas too, Jack. You know what happens in Vegas?
What happens in Vegas?
I don't know. I just
stays there.
I just heard it stays there. That's all I know. I don't know. You're not gonna get me to get on here and tell you anybody. Give a deep.
Guy's from Atlanta. He's got a checkered life already.
Give me a deep description of what happens there. But come to Atlanta. We'll hang out a little bit, Jack.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. I was just there. I was there for the Peach Bowl. I saw you at Michigan State game,
right?
Yeah,
at the game. Yeah,
the basketball game.
Yeah, but no, we got to go really. We got to.
You want to go deep?
Yeah, we got to go deep. We got to throw you out in the deep end and see if you can swim.
All right, we'll see what swimming we do tonight over at Holdheim.
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, Rob, are you coming tonight?
Not tonight, gentlemen. Not tonight. Okay. But possibly Thursday.
Can't have you and Deshaun in the same place. There'd be too much electricity at one time.
That's right. It's about the basketball. You know what I mean?
I will see you about 6:30.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Sounds good. We will be back, and Tom Lang is going to join us for The Long Drive, our weekly Michigan golf segment. And we have 3 guests for you, including a Hall of Famer going to join us. We'll also talk a little bit about the British Open and what might have been the best closing round in Majors history. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
At Culver's, we believe there's a right way to prepare a North Atlantic cod fillet sandwich, the traditional way. By traditional, we mean the way it's done all across the Midwest. We start with the finest, hand-cut cod fillets, batter each by hand, and cook crispy golden to order. No shortcuts, just hot and flaky, hand-battered goodness. So good.
It's a tradition, all right. Culver's North Atlantic cod fillet dinner or sandwich. Welcome to Delicious.
If your next event or holiday party has you feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant by Top of the Town, One North Kitchen and Bar has catering for every occasion from an award-winning chef. Book your next event by calling 517-901-5001. One North is the perfect place to get with family and friends for all the big games. Also voted Lansing's best sports bar, they have over 40 TVs, feature scratch cooking, amazing craft cocktails, and the largest draft beer selection in West Lansing. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Time for a career change? Looking to make a difference? Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our dedicated team of school bus professionals. Dean Transportation has immediate openings and offers paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license. With increased starting pay, benefit packages, flexible scheduling with weekday hours, and more, Dean Transportation may be the career choice for you. No experience needed. Apply now and train all summer. Head to deanjobs.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. 40 million Americans are under heat warnings today. Record-breaking highs are possible across the Great Plains and the Mississippi Valley. NBC's Emily Ikeda.
Triple digits extending through the plains from the Dakotas to Texas. Across the Lone Star State, records tied or shattered.
People say it's hot in Texas, but this is like different. It's hot.
All of Oklahoma is under an excessive heat warning with temperatures that could reach 16 degrees above average. Elon Musk and Twitter are expected to find out a timeline for their trial today. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO asked to have Twitter's request for a speedy trial denied, saying he needs more time to prepare. Twitter's attorneys want the trial to start in September after Musk backed out of a $44 billion deal to buy the social media platform. The price of gas is less than $4.50 a gallon. The national average price for regular is down to $4.49 a gallon, according to AAA. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Jack Ebling here with Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, people buying cars different ways now with inventory changes.
They certainly are, Jack. It's a wild time, but we're still selling them. You might not see them on the lot, but they're still coming in every day, and we're still delivering them. So what we're finding is a lot of people, they come in and they actually place an order for the vehicle instead of finding one on the lot that they want. Then that comes in within 7-8 weeks, and they take delivery.
We'll still want that great Graph service. They're making friends.
Fingernail and tongue changes can be clues to your current and future health concerns. Dr. Chi is the world-renowned expert in fingernail and tongue analysis. Wyckoff Wellness welcomes Dr. Chi back to East Lansing for individual fingernail and tongue analysis July 12th to 15th. Schedule your private appointment with Dr. Chi for just $40. Call 517-333-7270 to confirm your appointment today. That's 333-7270 or go to wyckoffwellness.com.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Cookie dough, salted caramel, Butterfinger, Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. We are here at the beautiful downtown studios, 105 West Allegan. Rob, we are again joined in studio, as we have been every Tuesday.
All
since
summer.
Spring, right? I guess since Masters.
Since the Masters.
Next week, we have a little departure. We're going to be doing this on Monday next week, not Tuesday, because next Tuesday and Wednesday is all Big Ten football. We will be on the floor of Lucas Oil Stadium, and we have an extravaganza for you. A great guest, maybe a little bit longer show, lots of things in the works. So Big Ten kickoff next Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to move the golf to Monday, but what a weekend. Lots of stuff going on, and we had the Dow tournament wrapping up. Right? We're getting closer to the Rocket Mortgage. We have the USGA Adaptive
going on right
now.
Down at Pinehurst.
Yeah. Our man Brian Bemis, who was a guest on this show, was tied for 15th after round one. Looking forward to talking to him when he gets back. And British Open, maybe as good a closing round as we've seen. First guy to ever shoot 2 rounds under 65 in a major.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron was just outstanding as far as his putting skills and how that showed. It showed you need that for sure when you're at St. Andrews.
Yeah.
It's not about the long game there.
Yeah, it's such a weird course. It takes a long time to get ready for it if you're not used to watching these gigantic double greens.
I love those.
And these tiny, tiny bunkers. But the way that the terrain slopes, it funnels a lot of balls into them. With these high-faced walls, sometimes you have to hit backward or sideways.
To get out of them.
To get out.
That can happen. Did you know that course played the opposite direction when it was designed?
No.
The first tee in the 17th green was your first hole.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And they play it once a year on April 1st.
It's only been 500 years,
yeah,
right?
But they play it reversed once a year.
I was also amazed, gentlemen, that on Sundays, normally, there's no golf. That's the only golf they have there on Sundays. It is closed for golf.
The rest of the year.
And it is a public park.
Yep.
You see people out there walking and building castles in those little traps, and, their dogs are out there running around. I said, what is this? I said, no, that's St. Andrews on a Sunday.
Yeah. And they pick up their dogs' droppings, thankfully.
Always a good idea on the golf course.
At least I think they do. I saw a tweet in the last couple of days from a course superintendent saying how the St. Andrews public takes better care of their public course than the average American does of their public and private courses.
Yeah. I would think that would be true. They love it, and the manicure it, and the roll on those fairways.
Amazing.
Is it because of the slope of them, or because they're packed down so far? You have that little wispy rough, but other than that, if you hit a low shot, you could get 100 yards of roll.
Well, I'm no greens expert, but I would assume a lot of it has to do with the course has been there for 500 years, like you said.
Yeah.
It's hard packed down.
Yeah.
And they don't irrigate it, except the greens and tees.
All right. Let's go out to our guest line, Rob, and welcome in Joan Garrity, one of the best players that the state of Michigan has produced, and she is going to be part of the 9-member class for the Michigan State University Athletics Hall of Fame to be recognized in early September. Congratulations, Joan.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so excited about it. I can't wait for it to be early September.
As someone who has won as much as you have, and you have the kind of trophy case that you have, where does this honor rank?
Oh, this is right there. This is right there. I mean, to be recognized by the school that I went to, with all the wonderful athletes that I'm going in with, it's like, wow, it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, it's just incredible. I keep pinching myself and saying, oh, no, they're going to figure it out, and they're going to say, oh, we made a mistake.
I don't think so. First time that there have been more female inductees than males, 5 females, 4 males going in, which is great and appropriate on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. When you think back to that, and when you were at Michigan State, Joan, the difference is almost unfathomable. Could you have conceived when you were playing that women's golf and women's sports in general would be where they are? They're not where they need to be yet, but they've come a long way.
Well, when I think about the fact that I only would have needed to be just a little bit older than I am, and I wouldn't have had any opportunity at all.
Wow.
So the progress is incredible. Well, the changes in all the sports, both men's and women's, is incredible. You know, when you think about the way teams travel now, the way they're taken care of on campus, the training facilities, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Joan, this is Tom Lang. Back in your area, it's been a long time since we've run into each other. You used to cover a lot of your wins. Going back to that comment you just said about travel, with the exception of the Big Ten tournament every year, did Michigan State even travel out of Michigan to play golf?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's
good. Yeah, we most of the tournaments we played in were in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. But we'd go to State College, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
We'd go to Ames, Iowa. Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We went to a number of different places. Now, we went the first year or two in a station wagon with our club strapped to the top.
I've seen a photo of that. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Pray for no rain.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Pray for no rain.
And a big difference, Joan, in fundraising and sponsorship. Now, the golf teams have some fundraisers that allow people to be benefactors to the program, and they have incredible facilities over there. But it used to be that, you could get golfers to come over and, do yard work for you. I mean, it was amazing. The things that, you just had to do what you could, and probably to make some of those trips happen, you weren't eating at fine dining spots.
No, we weren't eating at fine dining, but we were eating.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. We were eating.
Hey, Joan, I think almost every young golfer today, if they've got a good high school career and they're being recruited by colleges, vast majority of them are looking down the road thinking, I want to turn pro, whether they're male or female. Was that ever a thought in your mind at all when you were that age?
It was not. I mean, I looked at it from a couple of perspectives. I was a good student, so, I had a plan as to what I was going to do from a making a living point of view. And I knew that there wasn't big money on the women's tour at all. And so, only the very top handful of players were able to make enough money to really make any kind of a living. And then I thought, I don't like to travel that much. Every week you're in a different place.
Right.
And, you never are in your own bed. And none of that sounded attractive to me. So I was not tempted.
Huh. Joan, when you think about Michigan State's golf program and women's side, most people think of either Mary Fossum or Stacy Slobodnik-Stoll. It's amazing. You got 2 coaches. It's kind of like Judd Heathcote and Tom Izzo, what they've done, but even longer. And you think about that kind of consistency. What does that mean to a program, and what are your reflections of that kind of leadership?
Oh, it shows up in the goodwill coaches have generated over the time frame. You talk about raising money.
Yeah.
Well, you can raise money if you have the kind of coaches that Michigan State has been blessed with, in both Mary and Stacy. And from a student athlete's perspective, I mean, they have been there, they have seen it. Both Stacy and Mary were outstanding players in their own right. All of that helps. You know, I can't imagine the frustration if you agree to come to a school and you're there for a year and all of a sudden your coaches change. You know, it's just that always seems like that shouldn't be part of the deal. And at Michigan State, it isn't part of the deal. I mean, you're going to get people that have been there a long time, know what they're doing, and you're going to get a great experience.
Coaches can change and do it many places, and the athletes on the rosters can change now with immediate eligibility transfers. But
yes.
There are other changes in golf as we know it now, Joan, including name, image, and likeness. If you had been playing now, or they had that rule then, what product would you have tried to affiliate with?
Oh, geez. Now, that's a question I certainly am. I wasn't prepared to have asked. Boy, oh boy, I don't know. It'd have to be, let's see. Well, how about something healthy?
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go with that.
Okay.
You know.
Right. People would look at Joan and say, I want to drive it like Joan. I want to putt like Joan. And so, it would have been, everybody would be buying whatever that is, Tom.
Absolutely. I would. Joan, you were just talking about the steadfastness of the only two coaches MSU's had for on the girls' side, women's side, I should say.
Yeah.
What do you think Michigan State's perception is nationwide as a program? And I'm sure that's got a big tie into it.
Well, I think it's very well respected. You know, for a school that sits in the north and, you know, isn't blessed with, 12 months a year of weather to play outside, I think that the reputation is that they can play and they can compete and they can win on a national level. And it's always been that. It's like you recognize that it's in the north, but at least in our time, that almost gave you more incentive to play well because, people know that you're good, but they also say, they're from the north. They can't compete. I think it gives us a little extra something. And you put that together with a wonderful school like Michigan State has, and we get good players. And when you get good players, you got a chance. You always have a chance.
Joan, why did you come to Michigan State? And if you had not done that, where would you have gone and how would things have been different for you?
Well, school in 74. And I knew that, there'd be an opportunity to play golf in college. And I wanted to stay in the state of Michigan. And at that time, I had three choices, only three choices. Ferret, Central Michigan, or Michigan State. And I had met Mary a couple of years before at a golf school in the summertime. And so Michigan State was the logical choice for me. And there wasn't even a close second. I mean, there wasn't State.
When you think about the success that you had, Michigan amateur champion twice, GAM mid-amateur champion, women's senior champion, all the other accomplishments, not counting what you did at Michigan State. Congratulations on an amazing career. Last question for you. You didn't know Herb Adderley, I'm guessing, or
no,
Greg Jones or Draymond Green, but what about Kathy DeBoer? Any of the other athletes. Karen Langland, you probably might
Yes,
have known,
I absolutely know Karen. I know Kathy, and the record that Kathy has is just it's incredible to me that she's just coming into the hall now.
Yeah,
because there wasn't a better athlete, and a two-sport athlete.
Right.
I mean, just incredible. So yes, I know Kathy and I know Karen, and I'm just tickled to death to go in with them.
Well, they're probably thrilled that you will be there, too, the second weekend in September. Look forward to seeing you here, Joan.
All right. I'm looking forward to it, too.
Joan Garrity. All right, we're going to stay right here. And do you want to do the introduction on Troy?
Yeah, we've got Michigan State golfer Troy Taylor with us today. And he is getting ready to go to the U.S. Amateur a couple of weeks from now. I think, well, usually mid-August. How's it going, Troy?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Like I just mentioned, you're going to the USAM. There's been a lot of Michigan State activity at the USAM the last few years. Obviously, James Piatt winning it all last year. You got a couple of ladies on the women's team that have reached the semifinals on 2 different years. Do you look at that as kind of a tradition that you need to help hold up, or does it give you a lot of confidence or any nervousness knowing those kind of things are going on?
Not really. We have had a great track record, how you said, on the women's side, and then, James capitalized on it last year, and it was great for both programs, and I'm just really excited to go there. I don't think there's any pressure. I really just want to represent Michigan State well and, just try my best, and whatever happens at the end of the week, hopefully that is somewhat how the girls have been doing and how James hoisted the trophy last year. That's how I like to end my week. But wherever my week ends, that's going to be a great week just representing Michigan State golf back there again.
Yeah, and not long after James Piatt won the U.S. Amateur, you went head-to-head with him in a college event up in the Upper Peninsula at Sage Run, and you guys tied for the winning.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How did that feel? Was there any kind of like, hey, I can play with you anytime. Bring on the U.S. Amateur.
It felt really well. Really, really good to get my first collegiate win. And it didn't feel like anything different. James is a great golfer, obviously, and I got to be blessed to play against him every day since I was a freshman. So for 3 years, I got to play against him, and he was one of the best amateurs in the world. So it didn't feel like anything different. It just felt like we were out at Forest Acres just playing a normal round for fun. So not too much pressure, but it's always good to go against the best and then compete with the best and beat the best, and just gives you that inner self-belief that you can play with them.
Troy, this is Jack. How do you prepare for a U.S. Amateur? Do you do anything different, or is it just continued improvement, what you would do normally?
I think it's a continued improvement. It is one of the biggest amateur events in the world, but at the end of the day, it's still a golf tournament, and you just need to play good golf. So I don't think I would change anything, any preparation, just do what I normally do and just try to fix my little flaws at the moment and try to make those tighter for when that event comes. But I won't change any preparation that I normally do. I'm just trying to go into it like it's just another golf event and just who can put the ball in the hole the fastest.
Has this been maybe one of your better summers ever? And I'm referring to, you just had a really big amateur win down in Ohio, which is your home state, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you won the USAM, and you won the USAM qualifier as well. Is this one of your better streaks at this point in time?
I would say it was one of my better streaks last summer. I think I had a really good streak. I had surgery last summer, and then I came back really good and got second in the APGA professional event down in Florida, and then I came back to school and I played pretty good for a stretch of time. But I would definitely say for my summer runs, this has probably been one of my better runs since I've gotten to Michigan State. I had a really good run at the end of my junior golf career, getting inside top 20 in the country. So I would say this is probably, since I've been a Spartan, one of my best golf runs in the summer.
Troy, I think Tom mentioned Ohio. I want to flash back, if I can. When I think of Troy Taylor, I'm sorry, but I can't help but think about your dad. And just to show how old I am, Tom, I covered Troy's dad with the Buckeyes 4 seasons. Started in the early 90s, I think 91 went, or 81, right? Went through 81 through 85, the Judd Heathcote era. And Michigan State has a very good record against Ohio State in basketball, surprisingly good, as strong as the Buckeyes have been. But during those 4 years, they couldn't beat your dad. So, I still see number 12 penetrating, getting to the paint, and driving Judd crazy. He hit his head a lot because of your dad.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad. I've heard some stories about them playing Michigan State, and I think that was my dad's last collegiate game. And the shot, well, not the shot anymore, but the stadium they played in. I think they played Michigan State, and
St. John Arena.
Yep, St. John. So I hear those stories all the time. There's like alley-oop that he threw to my godfather now, but Ronnie Stokes, and I hear about that stuff all the time. So it's really cool to have that connection. And I remember when I took a visit on campus, Coach Izzo saw my dad, and I think Coach Izzo was an assistant at the time. And
he was.
They were talking it up. So it's really cool to kind of have that connection too with my dad having the track record he did, but trying to just make my own name too. But it's also nice to be connected to his name as well.
Are you a better basketball player than your dad is a golfer?
I would say yes. He thought I was going to be a pretty good basketball player. I wasn't blessed to be 6'6" in this day's game, so I probably wasn't going to make it too far. But he thought I was going to be really good at basketball, so I'd probably say I'm a better golfer or a better basketball player than he's a golfer. But he's not terrible. He'll shoot high 70s. He scraps it around, but I think I'd say I'm a better basketball player.
Were you ever worried about telling your dad you were going to go to Michigan State? Were you thinking he might have a stroke or a heart attack, or how did that all turn out?
No, not actually. He stayed out of the way. We actually barely ever talked about my recruiting because at the end of the day, he just wanted me to make the right decision for me and wherever I'd be happy. So, and it helped with him going through that, being an athlete and getting recruited. So he kind of knew what place to be in, and he's just there to encourage me. And I remember I called Coach Luban Christmas Eve. I just woke up Christmas Eve, and I knew for probably a month and a half Michigan State was a place for me over Ohio State and a couple other schools I was looking at. And I just remember I woke up and I told my dad, I'm like, it's time. And he was super excited for me. And, I mean, he wears the Michigan State stuff proud. I mean, we'll go places, and he has almost more MSU gear than I do and wears it proud, and just he's really happy for me and just supports me. So I'm forever grateful. And my mom was also a Buckeye. My whole family's actually a Buckeye. Nobody's ever gone anywhere but Ohio State, but both my parents are super happy for me, and they love Michigan State and how MSU athletics and the MSU fan base has treated me.
Troy, the scouting report on your game, what do you do best? And what's the area that you'd most like to improve?
That's a great question. To answer the back part, what I need to improve on, I would say everything. You can never be too good at anything. Everything needs to be sharpened. But I do think my strength is probably my short game. Mm-hmm. Coach Luban normally says I probably have one of the best hands he's ever coached. So I would say, which is pretty impressive for the players that he's coached with. I mean, James has a great short game, but Ryan Brim that plays on tour. So I take that with high honor. So I would probably say my short game is my strongest point. I just have a really good touch. So I would probably say that's the best thing. And then probably my weakest point is probably my putting. When I start rolling it well, that's when I kind of start playing a lot better golf. When the putter gets just kind of not hot, but just where I roll it halfway decent. So I would say that's where I need to improve if I want to get to the next level.
All right. Tough question for you, Troy. Would you give up 1 year of your life to be able to putt the way Cameron Smith did last week for 1 year?
Would I give up 1 year of my life to putt how he does for a year?
Yeah.
I would have to probably say yes, because if I putt it like that, I'd probably make a lot of money on the PGA Tour. So I would say I would definitely give up a year on my life. Knock on wood, hopefully that's many years down the road, but I would definitely give up a year of my life to putt like that guy.
Well, good luck later this week. You're going to be trying to qualify for the Rocket Mortgage Classic through the John Shippen Invitational, and that's focused on trying to give black golfing athletes a chance to have more turns on the PGA Tour and all that goes with it. So good luck playing in that as an amateur.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on. It was a blast chatting with you guys, and hope to see you guys soon. So thank you.
And Troy, tell number 12 that Spartan fans still have nightmares watching it.
I definitely will tell him.
Yeah,
at least Jack does.
I'll definitely let him know. He'll have a good laugh about that, so I'll let him know.
All right. We're going to stay right here, Rob, and our Forest Acres Golf Series. They have done a tremendous job with us with these pro lessons, and it's not because they are a second half sponsor of the series. And we really appreciate that. But because they have been awarded one of the top teaching facilities, the academy there, by Golf Digest, and want to welcome in Zach Rosendale. Zach, how are you?
Good, Jack. How you doing?
Just fine. You spent some time with James Pyatt, right? Caddying for him, is that right?
Oh yeah, down at in Hilton Head.
Yep. Yeah. What do you think of what he's going through this year, the progress, and what his future is going to hold?
I think he's got a lot of success ahead of him. His game's looking sharp. I love following him around and keeping track on him. I think he's doing an amazing job so far of handling that everything's been thrown at him.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm caddying for him again. I'm getting back on the bag. We're going to Asia in the middle of August. He's playing in a couple of Asian tour events. So I'm going in. I'm caddying for him then. So I'm looking forward to it.
Where in Asia?
We're going to Singapore and South Korea.
Nice.
So we'll be out there for few weeks and just continue on the success that he's had so far.
Yeah, never been to Singapore. Have been to South Korea. It's hot.
I've never been anywhere close to either of those.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Wanted to ask you a little bit about this academy and the kind of teaching that is done. Why has Forest Acres and Golf MSU been honored like this?
I just think it's the type of staff that we have, the instructors. Tom, myself, Alex, Nick. We're all doing a really good job of staying on top of things. All the success and the education that we bring to each lesson, clinic or program, I think a lot of people can build off of it and continue their progress throughout the game. And I think we teach it in a way that people get and that they understand. That's the most important thing that I go through. As long as the person that I'm teaching understands how to fix what they're learning about, I think that's the best way, and I think that's what everyone does on the staff.
Hey, Zach, people might not know that you bleed green, and I've got to believe you're just thrilled to be working at Forest Acres right now. I first met Zach when he was 13 years old, playing against the adults in a Glaga event at Groesbeck Golf Course, and he did really well. Kept progressing. Before 9th grade, he committed to Michigan State 4 years in advance.
Wow.
And so if anyone doubts that you bleed green, send them to me. I'll back you up.
Yeah.
But is that kind of like a dream come true, your job at Forest Acres right now?
Yeah, it really is. Just still being around the team, especially being around my old teammates and the coaches and, just being able to stay in this area. I love this campus and, I love the atmosphere that Michigan State brings and, I'll bleed green forever, and I'm just really, excited to still be a part of the university.
Zach, did you get a chance to watch any of the British Open last week, or were you too busy working?
I was pretty busy working, but I left my schedule open on that Sunday to watch that final round. I watched every single shot. It was unbelievable.
How would you describe what Cameron Smith did, especially starting 4 strokes behind and then having those 5 straight birdies from 10 to 14 and then making those incredible shots on 17 and 18?
I would say it's just really unbelievable. Like he is such a baller. It's ridiculous. His short game is unlike anything that I've seen. He's pretty close to being the best putter on tour. There's no weakness in his game, obviously, but when he's out there, it just seems like he knows and has complete control of his game to where nothing can really bother him. It was very impressive showing. I mean, that final round was kind of unbelievable.
So maybe he took some lessons at Michigan State.
I think I did see that mullet walking around I think right before the Brit, I think I saw that mullet walking around.
There you go. Well, you guys have an incredible practice center there.
Yeah, I'm very honored and blessed with everything that we have. It's really awesome. And I think that's another reason why the Academy's been put up into Golf Digest for this honor. I think it's just everything that we're given is spectacular and couldn't really ask for more.
Tom, you mentioned the mullet. You saw the picture of John Daly. Mm-hmm. And the two of them kissing the claret jug, and you could compare the length of the mullets and that. Funny story the other night. A guy said to me, what kind of putter does Cameron Smith use? And I said, a really good one. He said, well, I think I need a new putter. I'm having a lot of trouble. I was thinking of getting whatever he had. And I said, I got a little tip for you. It isn't the club, okay? It's the guy who is wielding the club. But probably have some people now, some young people who will look at that and they'll say, maybe if I wear a mullet, I'll play a little better.
Yeah, I think Cam Smith could probably putt with a broomstick and still do what he did.
I wanted to thank you, Zach, and again, all of the teachers, all the pros over there at Forest Acres can be very proud of this honor. And know that everyone has their own little specialization, but it's a great place to get instruction. The Academy has been recognized nationally, and I'm actually going to be over there tomorrow playing my first 18-hole round of the year. I played with Tom. I played with you at Hunter's Ridge, but I'm going to be over there playing in the Lansing Promise event, fundraiser. So I'm looking forward to that. Zach, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. Great talking to you guys.
Do we have some 30 seconds to give away some tickets?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we've got Rocket Mortgage Classic tickets, a contest to win 4 for the second round, which is a week from Friday.
Okay.
You can register on my website.
Okay.
migolfjournal.com.
What was that?
migolfjournal.com.
Good.
You have to register by between now and 12 noon this Friday. So you've got about 3.5 days.
Okay.
And just go down about halfway on the homepage. There's a green box where you can type in your email, and you'll be registered, and I'll draw somebody's name from that list.
That is a very good price.
It's a $280 value for 4 tickets. They're charging some $70 to $80 this year.
Wow.
So it's a
what
a
kind
great
of crowds
prize.
do you expect that they will get for that?
They say they're almost out of tickets, and they usually get 30,000 per day for the 4 days.
Well, we don't usually give away $280 items here. Usually when we do, Rob takes them before any of our listeners.
Well, they're on my phone for me to transfer to the winner.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's
they're
good.
safe, folks.
That's good. And you will be there every day?
I'll be there Friday and Sunday.
Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, my daughter has a baby shower on Saturday.
Gotcha.
So
and you will be back here next Monday.
Yes, absolutely.
Instead of Tuesday. All right. Thanks so much, Tom. Always appreciate you coming in. That was a great half hour.
Sure thing.
We will be back in just a minute, and we're going to spend most of our second hour talking baseball. Yes, we have to. We're going to talk A little bit about the Tigers with Jim Stark and the All-Star game. The guy's only been to 19 of them. He will not be at Dodger Stadium. Steve Garvey will be, probably sitting with the commissioner after yesterday. And we're also going to talk with Pat Caputo at the book, and he is a specialist on drafts. He spends more time on drafts than anyone I know. We'll talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball draft and maybe the NHL draft, too. All right, we will be right back with that and more coming up. It's A Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network.
At Culver's, we believe there's a right way to prepare a North Atlantic cod fillet sandwich, the traditional way. By traditional, we mean the way it's done all across the Midwest. We start with the finest, hand-cut cod fillets, batter each by hand, and cook crispy golden to order. No shortcuts, just hot and flaky, hand-battered goodness. So good.
It's a tradition, all right. Culver's North Atlantic cod fillet dinner or sandwich. Welcome to Delicious.
If your next event or holiday party has you feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant by Top of the Town, One North Kitchen and Bar has catering for every occasion from an award-winning chef. Book your next event by calling 517-901-5001. One North is the perfect place to get with family and friends for all the big games. Also voted Lansing's best sports bar, they have over 40 TVs, feature scratch cooking, amazing craft cocktails, and the largest draft beer selection in West Lansing. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Time for a career change? Looking to make a difference? Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our dedicated team of school bus professionals. Dean Transportation has immediate openings and offers paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license. With increased starting pay, benefit packages, flexible scheduling with weekday hours, and more, Dean Transportation may be the career choice for you. No experience needed. Apply now and train all summer. Head to deanjobs.com.
Russia is banning digital assets to pay for anything. President Vladimir Putin has signed into law a bill that bans digital assets such as cryptocurrency and NFTs to pay for goods and services. The law that takes effect within the next 10 days will make paying with crypto illegal in Russia. Russians reportedly can continue to invest in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. A court ruling is expected today after Elon Musk asked to have Twitter's request for a speedy trial rejected. Brian Shook has details.
The Tesla and SpaceX CEO says he needs more time to prepare for trial after being sued for backing out of a $44 billion deal to buy the social media platform. Musk's team says the trial should wait until next year, but Twitter's attorneys want hearings to begin in September.
And Apple has introduced Apple Music Sessions. The new audio tracks and live performance music videos will be recorded for audio and video in Apple Music's studios, and they're exclusive to subscribers. Tech Report, Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Jack Ebling here with Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, people buying cars different ways now with inventory changes.
They certainly are, Jack. It's a wild time, but we're still selling them. You might not see them on the lot, but they're still coming in every day, and we're still delivering them. So what we're finding is a lot of people, they come in and they actually place an order for the vehicle instead of finding one on the lot that they want. Then that comes in within 7-8 weeks and they take delivery.
We'll still want that great Graph service. They're making friends.
Fingernail and tongue changes can be clues to your current and future health concerns. Dr. Chi is the world-renowned expert in fingernail and tongue analysis. Wyckoff Wellness welcomes Dr. Chi back to East Lansing for individual fingernail and tongue analysis July 12th to 15th. Schedule your private appointment with Dr. Chi for just $40. Call 517-333-7270 to confirm your appointment today. That's 333-7270 or go to wyckoffwellness.com.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Cookie dough, salted caramel, Butterfinger. Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
This is your Spotlight on Sports History for July 19th. I'm Rob Bennett. On this day in 1903, the first Tour de France takes place.
with French rider Maurice Guerin wins the inaugural event. On this day in 1933, first time in Major League Baseball that two brothers on opposing teams hit home runs in the same game. Rick Ferrell of the Red Sox and his brother Wes of the Cleveland Indians. On this day in 1991, Cal Ripken Jr. plays in his 1,500th consecutive Major League Baseball game. And finally, on this day in 2020, Formula One Drivers' Champion Lewis Hamilton wins a record 8th Hungarian Grand Prix in Budapest to equal Michael Schumacher's record of wins in a single circuit. Stay tuned for more with The Drive with Jack right now on Spotlight.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Appreciate having Deshaun Tate and Tom Lang in studio for our first hour. Rob, someone who is normally here with us in studio and didn't come in today, and I even had some money for him, but that's all right. He didn't want
Wow, he might make his way.
He's independently wealthy. Jim Stark doesn't need my little bit of money. Want to welcome him in. The Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy joins us. Mr. All-Star Games. Jim, how are you?
Well, I am depressed, Jack. I have been sitting in a dark room all day with a veil over my head because I couldn't go out to L.A. for the game. I got to tell you something about calling in guests, right?
Yeah.
So your next guest is Pat Caputo, right?
Yes.
So he's a big hockey guy.
Yeah.
When he had on one of the weekend shows he hosts, he had on Ken Kal the other day, okay?
Yeah.
He had Ken Kal on a phone from one of the boats in the Port Huron to Mackinac race.
Nice.
How cool was that?
That's pretty cool.
I thought so too. So at least I'm not on a boat between Port Huron and Mackinac today, Jack. I will tell you that.
Did you know Jack had money for you, Jim?
Not till he told me I wasn't. You know what, though? The amount of money Jack gives me, I could probably afford to wait one more week. I'm not going to starve probably before then.
Yeah, we were going to have a fundraiser, but we just want to keep you from being at the blood bank. That's all right.
Yeah, well, hey, I sell whatever somebody will buy, right? But no, Jack, it's strange because I loved going to the All-Star Game. Mondays were great because you had the press availability in the afternoon with all the players. Then you had Home Run Derby. And that is a whole nother level of fun when you watch the Home Run Derby and the excitement like there was last night with all the home runs jumping out of the park. But then Tuesdays, though, are great, too, because you've got the press conference in the morning, but then you've got on the field all after starting at 3 o'clock, and anybody who's anybody goes on the field before the All-Star game. And I got you,
yes.
John Smoltz there one year,
yes.
And I've had great interviews. I got Ernie Banks one year. I mean, the afternoon on the field before the All-Star is for a media person, is one of the great opportunities you'll ever have.
Yeah, and we've appreciated your work with that. You talked about your favorite All-Star game in 1999 in Boston.
Yep.
Just about every one is memorable in some way. What do you remember about the game in Detroit here in the 21st century?
Well, I want to tell you, the thing I remember the most, and maybe this is a little bit offline, but the day they had the media availability, which is a great day because you get a chance to talk to every player, they did it at the, rather than a big space, they did it at the Hyatt Regency out in Dearborn. And there was no room for anything. I remember I couldn't talk to anybody, and that was disappointing. The game itself, though, that was a Bobby Abreu the week of he was the one that dominated the Home Run Derby.
Yeah.
But the game itself was, I remember, very uneventful. It wasn't a great game. It was kind of a little bit counterproductive. But I will tell you one of the games I remember the most. Now that you're asking me that, there was a lot of fun. In a strange way, was the one in Milwaukee when they still had the home field advantage in the World Series on the table as the winner takes all. That was the year they called it They called it a tie. That was very disappointing. Yeah. Fans, there was just an air of surprise, disappointment, and Bud Selig was the one that called off in his hometown.
What, he had dinner reservations or something? Where was he going?
They were out of pitchers. They didn't have enough pitchers to go. Then they changed the rule after that you had to have X amount of pitchers. But yeah, it was a very strange thing because, you know, with Bud Selig as commissioner, the hometown game was a huge event for him, and for him to have to call it off as a tie was very strange.
How many innings?
I think they only went 11, Jack. It wasn't.
So it's not like they went 16.
They were out of pitchers, though. That was the problem.
Okay, all right.
And then there was the All-Star game. I heard in the moment, the memory moment before I came on, they talked about Cal Ripken having a kick down of the game. In the All-Star game in Cleveland, and I want to say it was 97, which was my first one, when Cal Ripken won the game with a home run late in the game. That was another memorable moment.
Right. Well, his home run in the All-Star game there at the end of his career was one of the most memorable moments in All-Star game history. Is there one moment, as you think back on, you think that's what an All-Star moment should be?
Well, again, I keep going back to Boston, but when I saw all the All-Stars and all the great players of all time gathering around Ted Williams, they were the fans, and Ted Williams was the great player. That was a moment of this is what the All-Star game was about, because you got a chance to see All-Stars acting like kids. That was fun. And that's another thing. It's no one moment. I will tell you one moment. I will. It was in the All-Star game, and I want to say it was in Atlanta. The pitcher was the left-hander, Hall of Famer. Give me the help with the name, Jack.
Steve Carlton?
Boy.
I don't know.
No, pitched for Atlanta. He was one of the big three.
Tom Glavine.
What's that?
Tom Glavine.
Thank you very much. So he's got his kids out in the outfield shagging fly balls during batting practice for the All. He's got 3 kids. Maybe they range from 7 or 8 to 12, right? Yeah. And so I'm in the locker room afterwards trying to get interviews, and he's in there with his 3 kids. And one of the 3 kids spilled Gatorade or something on the other kid. They were fighting like little kids. There was Tom Glavine, Hall of Fame pitcher, hometown All-Star game, having to referee his 3 kids who were fighting about who spilled Gatorade on who. I just thought that was so funny that there he was being a dad like any one of us might be in the middle of all this All-Star lore.
Are you a home run derby guy, Jim?
Never was. I kind of the last few years I liked it more. Since they changed the format and they increased the number of home runs, the one year there were a couple years where guys would reach the second round with 2 or 3 home runs. I wasn't a fan then. I'm more so now because it really takes some home runs to get on the next level. So I've become more of a home run derby fan. I didn't like I like the new format. Put it that way. I didn't like when you had a certain number of pitches. I like the timing where you have so many home run swings in the amount of time. I like that. It's more exciting to me.
What about Juan Soto last night and the contract that he has turned down?
Oh, Jack, over $420 million extension he turned down from the Nationals. And my first reaction when I heard that, Jack? I was a bit frightened. Where is baseball going if a guy turns down over $400 million? Now, I get there were some questions about how it was being paid, but he's a Scott Boras guy. Scott Boras has got the biggest ego in all of baseball of anybody. Player, coach, manager, GM, or agent. He's all about reforming the game in his image. When he gets a player and he turns down $425 million, I think it's more about him wanting to have his fingerprints all over the future of the game. I think it's dangerous. I think we've talked before, Jack, about baseball killing the golden goose. Every time I hear a story like that, that's what comes to my mind. Are they going to kill this golden goose?
Last night, Julio Rodriguez hit
from
32
Seattle.
home runs, then 31 home runs, then 18 home runs. He hit the most home runs by far. They had 81 home runs in the 3 rounds. That's incredible. But he didn't win.
And I think he's one of the youngest participants of all time, wasn't he?
Yeah. But you think about the guy who won, and Soto won by 1 home run in every round. He beat Jose Ramirez 18-17. Then he beat Albert Pujols, and Pujols did hit 15 home runs. A lot of people said, why is he even in this? He did hit 15, but lost 16-15, and then he beat Rodriguez, who was a little tired at that point, 19-18. So Soto won it, hitting 53 homers, and you know what that means, Jim?
Absolutely nothing, right?
It means that Juan Soto last night in those 3 rounds hit as many home runs as the Detroit Tigers have hit before the All-Star break. 53. That's the number.
Well, one of the things about the All-Star game is, I'd be interested if you subscribe to this about the home run derby, that hitting all those home runs in a short period of time can really tax a player, because it's remarkable slowdowns in second half production of the season for some of these guys that participated, including Bobby Abreu. So there's a school of thought that says hitting all those home runs in a very short period of time can do some damage to a player's swing. Do you subscribe to that?
I don't know, but maybe Spencer Torkelson was in a couple of home run derbies before the season started. Because
no, that wasn't the case. But they are sending Spencer down. They finally reached the point where they've had enough, and they're going to have to send him down. It's just such a sad situation when a guy with so much promise comes up and is so disappointed. I mean, his level of promise was so high, and his disappointment is so low. It's hard to imagine that span.
We're talking with Jim Stark, one of our baseball experts, Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy executive director, and All-Star Game maven. When you think about some of the performances we have seen, I go back to Pudge Rodriguez in that home run derby contest, and everyone talks about Bobby Abreu, but people don't realize that Pudge was second.
Pudge did well, and it's funny because in that same home run derby, that was the year that Brandon Inge had 0. Yeah. 0. So Pudge was a slugger compared to Brandon Inge. Oh, yeah. But again, Comerica Park's not a great home run hitting venue. Now, Bobby Abreu notwithstanding, because he hit most of his home runs in that left center field, that new area that they extended out. Yeah. And so there's a little bit shorter porch than some of the left field. The left field area is still a long way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You guys sorry, Jack. You guys are talking about home runs, and this isn't necessarily a home run derby, but I want to get you guys' thought on 1989, Bo Jackson leading off with that gigantic home run and then making a spectacular catch in the outfield later in the game to save 2 runs for the National League. Where do you guys rank that performance?
Great all-star, great individual all-star moment, because Bo Jackson was one of the great athletes of all time in any sport. And the tragedy is he hit it. His hip was damaged, and he couldn't play either sport after that.
Let me give you another individual performance. It didn't involve a home run. In fact, it didn't even involve hitting the ball, but it was tremendous for an all-star game. Willie Mays batted leadoff in an all-star game. Hard to imagine someone with that kind of power batting leadoff, but that's what the National League lineup was. And Willie said, well, bat wherever you want. And so I think he walked, and then he stole second. And he just kept stealing, moving around the bases, and scored, all with his legs. And the National League won the game 1-0.
Which is unusual for an all-star game. I will tell you one of the great all-star games I remember was when the American League beat the American National League for the first time in like 10 years. It was I think it was 70. Oh boy, I don't have my notes in front of me. But it was they won 14-4. I remember that, and they opened up all the floodgates with home runs they hadn't hit, and it was really a fun game because it's been 10 years or so since they won a game. That was fun.
All right, let's talk about it's not the second half anymore for the Tigers, but what is possible, averaging 3.13 runs per game, Jim, and the all-time low for Detroit is 3.12 runs per game. So they are 1/100th of a run ahead of the lowest in team history. And I really think if they apply themselves, they can get there. They can get down below 310.
Oh, Jack, you're such a negative Nelly for these poor Tigers. But yeah, this year may be one of the most disappointing. We've had bad years, but this year had high expectations. So again, you compare the expectations to where they're delivering. This may be one of the most disappointing years I can remember. And I don't know what they're going to do because there's relatively little in the minors. A lot of the arms they've been counting on are still damaged one way or the other on the disabled list, or in case of Casey Mize, he's had the surgery. I'm not sure what they can do unless somebody they have on the roster can really pick up it. But who they have is going to surprise you other than maybe Riley Green. But none of the other guys that you're waiting on, a Jonathan Scope, a Candelaria, they're not going to surprise, I don't think, in the second half. I just don't see it. So this could be, when all said and done, Jack, we may say this is one of the most disappointing seasons that we've seen in our enjoying the Tigers the last 30 years.
Do you think we're going to see Spencer Torkelson back with the Tigers late this season?
I do, because it won't take much. They don't want him to languish down there. They want him back up. If he can do anything at all, get it over 250 or 240, they'll bring him back up because they still want him to learn in the major league. They just have no. He's looking befuddled out there, so that's why they made the move. But if he can do anything at all in AAA, they will bring him back. They want him up here learning in the big league level. Interesting question for you, though, Jack. We heard about Juan Soto, turning down the $425 million contract. He now is on the trading block, right? Because Washington wants to get. Would you trade Torkelson, Green, and Tarik Skubal for Juan Soto?
No, I would not.
Why or why not?
I would never trade 3 young players for one, and this goes against what I said the other day, Rob, about in a 3-for-1,
right?
Get the best player in the trade.
Yeah.
But the Tigers need so much help, and if you give up all 3 of those guys, and I'm not absolutely convinced that Riley Green's career won't be every bit as good as Juan Soto's when it's done. It's a different kind of career, but I think that you also have a first-round overall pick, and you picked him for a reason. I don't think you just drew a name out of a hat with Spencer Torkelson. The ability is there. We've seen it.
Right.
It's disappeared, but they have has to resurface. And Skubal, I think, is going to be a rotation piece, if not a rotation leader, for a long time. So my answer is no. And the other reason is, if Juan Soto is this disruptive at age 23, what's he going to be like at age 28?
You mean disruptive as a team member, not as a hitter?
As a team member, as a guy you can count on him. If you told me that you were going to have his whole career.
Oh, I only go as far as Scott Boras. That's as far as I need to go, and that scares me right there. So,
my answer would be no.
But I don't disagree, because I think you're right. I think you don't trade. If the Tigers were closer, and they needed one piece, absolutely I would. But not like you said, when they need so many pieces, and you've invested so much time, energy, drafting rights, all those things in these 3 guys. You got to start developing your own. You cannot. That puts such a ding in your development system. You got to trade 3 of your young guys for somebody else's superstar. To me, that doesn't do good for anybody.
The other thing with that, whenever you have all of your eggs in that basket, what happens when that guy gets hurt? What happens when something happens to him? Then you don't have him. You don't have 3 guys that you had before.
You pay a guy $425 million, you can insure that contract, right? If God forbid something happens, you can still get your money back. You trade 3 young guys, and he gets hit in the head with the first game out by the pitcher, and he can never hit again. That's a huge loss. You can't insure against that.
And that's the other thing, Jim. Before we let you go, when you think about what the Tigers' budget is going to be, they're going to be paying a guy over $400 million. They're still dealing with the Miguel Cabrera contract.
Well, and he turned that down. He wants the Scott Boras want the first $50 million a year. I mean, who knows what he? Juan Soto was a unique talent. No
what
question
do they have
about
to pay Riley Green, Torkelson, and Skubal? Nothing compared to that.
Exactly. And one guy, as you said earlier, does not win you championships. I don't care how good he is.
He'll wind up with the Yankees or the Mets or somebody.
Well, and that's the other scary part about this whole turning down the money. There's only 3 or 4 teams that can even get in the Derby for Soto. Both New York teams, maybe L.A., maybe Chicago, Boston. That's about it.
Yeah.
You're making the elite. You're not a big fan of these elite teams, right? You're making the elite even more elite by having this kind of a bidding war.
Yeah, and Soto said he was surprised that the Nats had considered that they would even consider trading. What are they supposed to do? Just lose him?
Right. Oh, no, yeah.
I mean,
he
said he didn't want to sign that contract, so that's a pretty clear message to them that, hey, I'm not going to be here that long. Get what you can for me.
Yeah, if he's surprised they weren't more loyal to him, then, loyalty goes both ways.
Right. Exactly. All right, Jim. I'm just going to hang on to your check here unless it blows away. It might blow away on the way out to the car. It could happen.
Well,
right?
just add a few more zeros to it, Jack. Hey, enjoy the All-Star game, though, Jack. It is one of the great, as baseball fans, it's one of the great nights of the year to watch the All-Star game, and I'll enjoy it even though I'm not there. But next year, Jack, by hook or by crook, I'm going to be in Seattle for that game.
Okay, Rob, I just added 3 more zeros to Jim's check, all to the right of the decimal point. So, all right, thanks a lot. We will be right back with our final guest of the day, Pat Caputo, 97 won the ticket. A long, long career as a sports writer at the Oakland Press. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
At Culver's, we believe there's a right way to prepare a North Atlantic cod fillet sandwich, the traditional way. By traditional, we mean the way it's done all across the Midwest. We start with the finest, hand-cut cod fillets, batter each by hand, and cook crispy golden to order. No shortcuts, just hot and flaky, hand-battered goodness. So good.
It's a tradition, all right. Culver's North Atlantic cod fillet dinner or sandwich. Welcome to Delicious.
If your next event or holiday party has you feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant by Top of the Town, One North Kitchen and Bar has catering for every occasion from an award-winning chef. Book your next event by calling 517-901-5001. One North is the perfect place to get with family and friends for all the big games. Also voted Lansing's best sports bar, they have over 40 TVs, feature scratch cooking, amazing craft cocktails, and the largest draft beer selection in West Lansing. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Time for a career change? Looking to make a difference? Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our dedicated team of school bus professionals. Dean Transportation has immediate openings and offers paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license. With increased starting pay, benefit packages, flexible scheduling with weekday hours, and more, Dean Transportation may be the career choice for you. No experience needed. Apply now and train all summer. Head to deanjobs.com.
Jack Ebling here with Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, people buying cars different ways now with inventory changes.
They certainly are, Jack. It's a wild time, but we're still selling them. You might not see them on the lot, but they're still coming in every day, and we're still delivering them. So what we're finding is a lot of people, they come in, and they actually place an order for the vehicle instead of finding one on the lot that they want. Then that comes in within 7-8 weeks, and they take delivery.
We'll still want that great Graph service. They're making friends.
Fingernail and tongue changes can be clues to your current and future health concerns. Dr. Chi is the world-renowned expert in fingernail and tongue analysis. Wyckoff Wellness welcomes Dr. Chi back to East Lansing for individual fingernail and tongue analysis July 12th to 15th. Schedule your private appointment with Dr. Chi for just $40. Call 517-333-7270 to confirm your appointment today. That's 333-7270 or go to wyckoffwellness.com.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Cookie dough, salted caramel, Butterfinger. Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome back. It is the Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with Rob Bennett. Just want to remind you that if you're interested in seeing the Rocket Mortgage Classic Round 2 on Friday next week, 4 tickets available. It's a $280 value. All you have to do is go online to migolfjournal.com and register. You can also register for that amazing monthly newsletter. The magazine, I should say, and just like these tickets, no cost, FREE, everyone's favorite 4-letter word. All right, let's go back to our guest line and welcome in Pat Caputo, the book from 97.1 The Ticket. And Pat, I think you spend as much time on drafts as anyone I know. We just had a baseball draft, and Tigers, I think, picking 12th. What can you tell us?
Well, they got Jace Young, a second baseman from, supposedly a second baseman from Texas Tech at 12th overall, big-time college hitter. Somebody that, is hit tool first, rest of his athleticism, defense, and everything a bit questionable. So it's basically a situation where if he hits, and he really did hit a lot in college baseball in a premier conference, the Big 12, then they got something. If he doesn't hit, it's not going to be so good for him.
Yeah. Well, Jace hitting that well is a little bit like a guy they took number 1 overall who hit fantastically well until he got to Detroit. Do you think that this is going to be someone who hits better than the 4 infielders who have flirted with the Mendoza line all year for Detroit?
Well, I think it's up in the air. The thing is, Jack, there's so much difference between the college level, minor league level, and then the actual major league level in pitching. It's more separated, especially from the minor league level to the major league level, than it's ever been. So with Jace Young, it's like really difficult for me or anybody else, to project what's going to happen when he starts seeing big league velocity, big league pitches, which has gotten better than it ever has. Pitchers are shortening up their starts, the starters. They're bringing in power arms out of the bullpen, all those things. He does fit analytically in what teams are doing now because they're looking for high walk, low strikeout guys. And he does have power, at least with the aluminum bat hitting in the Big 12 and in college baseball. How it's going to project into the major leagues, it's really hard to tell. You take a major league fastball, 93 miles an hour is the average fastball, 4-seam fastball. And 2018 season, pitches that were 94 or less fastballs, hitters hit 278 on. 95 and up, 233. Slugging percentage down .160 on the fastballs that were 95. Well, you just don't see that many 95-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yeah.
At this point with Jace Young, and he's using aluminum bats for the most part. He did play briefly in the Cape Cod League, and in California, the summer leagues like Northwoods, the league around here, have wood bats. But it's very dicey trying to project college hitters, and the Alex Bombs and the Nolan Gormans and these other names that have been talked about in recent years. That were big-time college hitters. Andrew Vaughn has come on. But when their hit tool is just the one thing, how is it going to project into an all-around player? So I think the perception is this was the premier college hitter last year. How is it going to project to Major League Baseball? Man, it's not somehow a risky pick because people are happy that the Tigers, whose offensive struggles are terrible, took a college hitter. But to me, it's a bit of a risky pick. And the baseball draft is so much different, Jack. It really is.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
You got 2017, there were 77 players taken in the first 2 rounds in the compensatory picks. Only 44 of them have made the major leagues. And only, I think, 34 of them, no, it's less than that, 30 of them have been above the replacement level as WAR players. On the NFL, all those guys, whether they're good players or not. In baseball, you just don't know.
Right.
So
right.
I'm not trying to dodge around the question, but I'm wondering if the guy they took was taken right after him, Nito. Zach Nito is a shortstop from Campbell, who has more athleticism, is going to be a better pick. But his hit tool wasn't quite as good in college. And he's a shortstop who projects to stay at shortstop.
Pat, I think you said in terms of analytics, one of the things that people are looking for is high walks and low strikeouts. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what it's changed. It's no more just about launching the ball.
Well, that has really not gotten through to the Detroit Tigers hitters. And when you think about Javi Baez, Jonathan Scope, and Miguel Cabrera, they have fewer than 20 walks and more than 70 whiffs.
Yeah, look, those guys, Cabrera's doing all right for 39 years old. He wasn't in the home run derby like Pujols.
No.
But he would have been, and maybe had a chance if he got to hit at Williamsport, and those other guys were hitting at Chavez Ravine at this point. Mm-hmm. But, just looking at the situation, he's done all right for where he's at. But those other players have been a disaster. Just an utter disaster offensively. Scope has played very good defense. He actually has the best outs above average, according to the technological aspect of the game, of any position player in baseball this year, and by far.
Yeah.
So his glove has been good, but his offense has really hurt them. And Javi Baez, man, he's all over the place. I knew he was a mercurial player when they took him, Jack.
Yeah.
But his swings, it's been even worse. A lot more bad than good, for sure.
As I told Rob yesterday, Pat, I was at the game on July 4th, first half of the doubleheader against the Guardians. And Javi Baez walked 3 times. Now, he's walked 14 times all year. So he got 3 of those walks in one game. And after the last one, I gave him a standing ovation. And the people who were sitting near me said, "Why are you so excited about the walk?" And I'd explained to him that this was something very rare, that they would never see this again the rest of Javi Baez's career.
Well, actually, I don't know if you knew this or not, but they brought in Al Michaels for that call, replaced Matt Shepard for a minute, and said, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes.
All right. Spencer Torkelson now, is he back at the end of the year? Do you expect he's going down to get some of that expert tutelage in the Tigers farm system?
Jack, one of the things I said, I observed this. I don't know if I said it here on your program or not, but I've said it a lot. I wrote about it, talked about it on my podcast.
Yeah.
Spencer Torkelson, last year I watched every one of his at-bats.
Yep.
And he did not hit the fastball. He didn't hit 93, 94 mile-an-hour fastballs. His home runs came on, pitches that were less than that,
right.
And he let a lot of fastballs just kind of go. And it's about pitch recognition, being able to adjust to a fastball and at the higher level. And then everything else kind of falls into place. If you get on a fastball and then they throw you something that's off speed, or a fastball that's mediocre just to try to get it in there, your bat speeds up and you start hitting home runs, especially with the power that he has. I don't know if what's going on at Toledo, where there's not that many hard throwers in that league, is going to help his issue that he's had in the major leagues. He needs to become more of a guess hitter. You know how Javi Baez is too much of a guess hitter?
Mm-hmm.
And, he needs to become more of a guess hitter. He lets too many pitches just go by while he's looking for some kind of perfect offering that he can hit. And he needs to be able to hit fastball first and then let the rest of it take care of itself. And it's not something that you can necessarily teach a guy with, one elbow here, held here, and all these different things.
Right.
Some people aren't born to hit that type of stuff. How they used to always say, "Oh, I was real good until I saw the curveball." Well, in actuality, you're real good until you see the real fastball these days.
Yeah. I understand, Pat, that not every hitting coach can help every hitter. But if you have so many hitters struggling, and you have a team runs per game of 3.13, and you have 157 home runs for the Yankees and just 53 for the Tigers, I mean, I get it, Aaron Judge isn't out there in Comerica Park. But Scott Coolbaugh, the hitting coach, do you know what he makes, and is there any chance that he could take a pay cut before the end of the year?
Well, I don't know. I get this call all the time, fire the hitting coach, And last year when Eric Haas had 21 home runs, he just came out of the blue, and Akil Baddoo was a Rule 5 guy, never played above A ball.
Yep.
And, a bunch of players. Robbie Grossman had his best year and all these things. Nobody ever mentioned Scott Coolbaugh.
Yeah,
one call. Most people didn't even know who he was. They still don't know what his background is or anything. They're hangry. They're hungry for wins, especially in Detroit, where the entire town stinks in teams. And the Tigers were supposed to be good, and they've been profoundly disappointing.
Right.
And everybody wants a pound of flesh to eat, because they're upset. So, in Coolbaugh, obviously the hitting coach, falls in that category. The one thing I'll give you some insight on it.
Okay.
I don't expect him to be their hitting coach in the future after this year.
Yeah.
And it's not going to necessarily be because this guy's a stupid idiot and can't teach hitting, and whoever they bring in is going to be a miracle worker.
Right.
Like a faith healer, like he's going to put his hand on their head and they're going to start hitting.
Yeah.
But teams this year, in the last 15 months, this is an unbelievable fact, but 22 of the 30 hitting coaches have changed.
Is that right? I did not know that.
The average age of a hitting coach went from 51 to 40, and teams are looking for more analytical type of hitting coaches that are coming up in a different way. I think the average time for a hitting coach is 2.3 years these days. So they're the fall guy a lot. They change out hitting coaches, just remarkably. In Major League Baseball now, and they're trying to sort that out because it seems like analytically the game has gotten ahead with the pitchers and has fallen behind some with the hitters, and there's an adjustment to what is going on when it comes down to hitting approach and how it has been done for a certain period of time, and now there's going to be an adjustment period to it. So.
Pat, we have had you on, I think, after the NFL draft, but not after the Pistons draft, and specifically not after the Red Wings. Can you talk about how they did and the chance to parlay a couple of strong drafts together for Steve Yzerman's plan?
Well, I can't complain about the Pistons draft because I said if Jaden Ivey was there, it was a no-brainer to take him. If somebody took Keegan Murray or whoever else, they should take Jaden Ivey. I thought it was a big four, not a big three, with Bonchero and Holmgren and Smith.
Right.
And Jaden Ivey was there, and they took him. And I said in my podcast that if they didn't take Ivey, they should consider Jalen Duran because of they have a problem with rim protecting. Now, somehow Troy Weaver got both of them. So I would be the most disingenuous person in the world to complain about their draft,
right?
Because that's exactly a perfect draft as far as I'm concerned for what their needs are.
Okay.
And and also when I look at the hockey draft months ago, I said that they probably would take this kid Marco Kasper, who was playing for Rögle in Sweden. And had developed late in the year playing in the big league over there, which is comparable to the AHL where the Griffins play. And he had played well on this team that had been very good, and he did well in the playoffs and showed that he could play in a big boy league. And that Yzerman, obviously, there's a connection there with what he's done. This kid's not from Germany, he's from Austria. Sider was from Germany. And he kind of just fit into the same mold there, and it was being underrated by the draft experts. And other people, picked up on that too. So I thought their pick was who I thought it would be. It's going to come down to whether, some of the Matthew Savoy from Winnipeg, a junior center, who was taken right after that. Connor Geekie, another one that played on the same team with him in Winnipeg. Frank Nasser, who's from down here in Metro Detroit, played for the U.S. developmental team. These three centers that were taken after Marco Casper. So I thought it was a solid pick. I like their second pick too. Looks like Dylan James. I think they're heavy on the puck, Jack. Two-way type players who have physical attributes that are pretty good, and I like their draft. And in both teams, I like their draft very much. Not so sold on the Tigers draft, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought that, they gave up compensation picks and didn't have much salary slot. And the first two picks are what are real important here with Young. And I mentioned the upside and possible downside of him. The second pick, Peyton Graham, to me is intriguing. He should have gone in the first round in a way, but he's a skinny beanpole. But I like skinny beanpole guys when they're 21 because when they're 24 or 25, they're usually fill out a lot of times. And this kid can run. He's athletic. But, again, it's a college player, an elite program. Oklahoma had a great team this year.
Right.
And he was very good for them. But I see him more as an outfielder than a shortstop just based on, his athleticism and the way he moves.
You talk about skinny beanpoles, Pat. I was watching last night the story on Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting, the behind-the-scenes stuff. I know he finally got that call from Paul Morgan on draft day. But when you looked at what he was 6'3" and about 170 pounds.
Right.
And, just nothing to him. But a lot of people thought he would go number one to Houston. Instead, the Astros took Phil Nevin and Hal Newhouser, a two-time MVP, the Tigers, and he was the chief scout. He was so upset that he quit. And he
That's true. Yeah.
He said, I've been in this game 50 years, and if they're not going to listen to what I said, I'm done.
Yeah, actually, at one point did talk to Hal Newhouser about that while he was still with us. And, Hal Newhouser was a very, very, I don't know how to describe it, direct person, just gruff,
blunt,
and that didn't surprise me. But he had been a scout, everybody remembers him as a pitcher, but he was a scout with Baltimore for many years when Paul Richards was there, and they scouted all those guys. My wife's grandfather worked with him, Lou D'Annunzio.
Oh, yeah.
He was a Tiger scout who signed Willie Horton and Bill Freehand and those guys, and actually coached now Hal Newhouser was the Bird Dog scout for him. So I'm very familiar with that. But Jeter, I looked at that, and it was kind of weird. The guy from Central Florida, I never heard of that outfielder that was taking the pick before him.
Right.
And, the other thing is, he was a great player. And, it's about like teams sometimes looking at college players and trying to balance them with high school players and taking athletes who are 18 years old and trying to project what they're going to be like when they're in their 20s. And a lot of times you get a different mix on it. And when I'm talking about body types, I don't want the extreme if I'm looking for the ideal. Like somebody like Peyton Graham, that's 170 at 6'4". It's not like Chet Holmgren at 190 at whatever.
Right.
But when they project out when they're older, with nutrition and weight training and stuff like that, more than some guy who's kind of blocky body, and often grows out of the position or out of their athleticism.
Right.
So that's part of the whole trick in projecting players and what they're going to be like. And these teams, and it's like that in college, basketball, for example.
Right.
You got to see what somebody can do right now, and you may not have them in a couple of years. It's become a lot more tricky to project all those different things.
Last question for you, Pat. We got the Lions opening training camp, and Hard Knocks coming in to do that HBO series. What are they going to emphasize besides Dan Campbell's zaniness and probably Hutchinson? As far as the Lions are concerned, and what is a successful season for Detroit?
Well, 6 is the perfect number. It's the perfect number. 6 is what they should win. And because I think they're a little bit better, year-to-year improvement of the couple drafts that they've had, the first draft that they had.
Right.
And I think that they made some progress with trying to influence. I thought Dan Campbell did a terrific job of weathering the storm last year and coming up with something that worked.
Yeah.
I don't think people are giving him enough credit for how good a smart he is. It's more about the caricature thing. He did a terrific job last year, but weathering storms, one storm doesn't mean you've arrived.
Right.
But 6 is the number. If everything kind of goes right, they could find themselves with 7 or 8 wins, even be in playoff contention because the NFC is so bad that they could find themselves with an extra wild card team being on the cusp.
Yeah.
And if things go wrong like they typically do for the Lions, they'll be less than that.
Right. Interesting to see how fans would react to 6 and 11, but it's not like they're expecting championships. So.
Well, Jack, to me, it's all about, what are they doing? My problem with the Lions is they back into a wild card spot, and they put up banners, and they're 0-8 in wild card, and 0-9 in their history in wild card games.
Yeah.
At least they took that banner down that was staring me in the face in the press box.
Yeah.
And so
if they ever win a wild card game, they could put up a banner. Now, that would be an accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, they would have a friggin' parade.
Yeah.
And that's not really an accomplishment. Mark Sanchez won 2 road playoff games with the Jets. Yeah. What did it mean? So, what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, if they come out of this and they're building toward a bigger future, which looks like a Super Bowl contender, then it means something if they win 6 games. If they win 6 games and it's, everything falls apart, and the big, they got to, at some point, address the quarterback position.
They might win just enough to make the wrong decision at quarterback.
Well, Jack, everybody thinks they got a better quarterback than Jacksonville, but Trevor Lawrence, second year. Zach Wilson, second year. Mac Jones, second year. Justin Fields, twice, second year.
Right.
They face all these guys that were really draft picks, Tua. So those are are they going to be in a better position than those franchises that a lot of their fans think they are, and they may not be?
Pat, thanks so much for joining us. Always a lot of insight. We'll see you maybe in Spartan Stadium at some point this season.
All right, man. Take care, Jack, like always, man.
Want to thank all of our guests, Rob. A lot of fun today, including having Deshaun Tate, our basketball savant, sitting here in studio. Up from Atlanta, and we will see him tonight. In fact, I will be there in less than a half hour at Holt High School for another night of Moneyball. Stop by, and if you're there, say hello. Look forward to seeing you. Also want to thank Tom Lang, Mr. Michigan Golf Journal, and 3 guests. Joan Garrity, Hall of Famer, now adding the MSU Athletics Hall of Fame to all of those distinctions. Troy Taylor, getting ready to play in the U.S. Amateur, MSU golfer and the son of the Ohio State point guard. Zach Rosendale, assistant pro at Michigan State, and he is also part of that award-winning staff. Jim Stark, the Michigan Sports Legacy, and Pat Caputo. See you tomorrow, everyone.